When I went to Stanford, there were no resource programs. There were readers from the state, and they paid for that. And there was a mobility instructor that helped me at first, but there was nothing really at Stanford. And I didn't think there should be.
For me, over the course of the years that I've been working here, I have definitely seen students who have been more vocal about things being accessible out of the gate rather than needing to ask for accommodations. If we improve programs and services and make it more inclusive for everyone, it reduces the need for many individuals to even ask for accommodations.
The first quarter I was back, that spring of 78, this person came over to me and he said, "Would you come work for me?" He was an associate provost with the responsibility of implementing 504.
The 504 regulations had finally been signed. Any entity that was getting money through 504, they needed to come up with a transition or implementation plan.
So I put together all the materials, rewrote and straightened out the transition plan, 31 places that need physical architectural change, which one to do first.
I began building a program of disability student services and broaden our scope to be, really fully accessible to people with all different kinds of disabilities. I would often be then consulted with the admissions office. They'd say, "Hey, we've got this candidate. What can you do?" So it became an in-house consultant. But then as we grew and broadened, I purposely named it the Disability Resource Center because I wanted it really to be clear that it wasn't just about students. It was about really all of us. And it wasn't just about services. It was about providing resources to empower people.
After the Loma Prieta earthquake, Stanford was literally under so much construction, reinforcing the quad. So taking everything down and putting it up. And I would walk sites and make recommendations and talk about how do we connect these paths. And then students were coming to my office with complaints about lack of access.
I ended up going to a couple of Gay and Lesbian Alliance at Stanford events at the fire truck house as a senior. But I hauled myself up the stairs and people all helped haul me up the stairs because this was before the elevator was put in. The elevator was put in because Bliss Temple, who was a wheelchair user who was a few years after me, she was the one who pushed to get the money to renovate the fire truck house and make it wheelchair accessible.
The students pushed and threatened a lawsuit to make sure that they got access to the second floor of the fire truck house.
I helped run what was called the Disabled Speakers Bureau. So we were putting together panels of other Stanford students that could go speak about having a disability. We would set them up for the med school. So med school classes would have, basically a panel discussion with us. Or sometimes it was more of a social context where we're doing these for the student dorms. They would have a lot of programming about all kinds of different identity issues.
I had met another student named Vivian Wong. Vivian and I and some other students met in a room in Old Union. Perhaps we had even borrowed the Native American Community Center. We had a brainstorming session. I think that was the inauguration of what became Power to Act. We started a mailing list, we had meetings, I made some great friends through that group. And one of our missions was to get ourselves a community center.
I also started the Stanford Disability Initiative, which is also part of Power to Act, but it has students, faculty, and administration. We kind of pivoted and sort of moved it towards just trying to make disability an integral part of diversity and an integral part of Stanford. And then that was where we got involved with disability studies as an area, and also just making sure that we have a language guide. So we formed a language guide. We got a website for disability at Stanford, and we were working on other initiatives as well. Also launched that Future of Disability at Stanford event for alumni. So that was a way to get alumni involved.
Zena was instrumental in the forming, and I gave her a certificate that said co-founder of SMAC, which it was called the Stanford Medicine Abilities Coalition at the time. So I just started building it and launching it sort of at the same time. And I met with the medical students with disabilities and chronic illness, and they put together like a 15-page PDF on introducing me to all of the disability issues at the School of Medicine. SMATI was accepted as a subcommittee of the diversity cabinet. So that's like literally the seat at the big table.
Disco is disability community space.
So we call it disco for short, but it's like dis as in disability, and then co as in community.
This came out of a long history of disability advocacy on campus.